All right, let's talk about China's #1 divine dog, the one, the only, Shao Tian Quan. We're going to dive deep into his legend today.
You know, in Chinese mythology, you've got this god, Erlong Shen. He's kind of this stoic, solitary hero type. But if you look closely, you'll always see this streak of white light at his feet. And that, well, that's not just a pet. That's basically the other half of his soul.
Look, this is so much more than a story about a god's pet. Nope. This is the ultimate underdog story, literally. It's about a stray who becomes a legend, a simple companion who turns into a warrior, and, a sidekick who totally becomes a star in his own right.
All right, let's get right into it. To really get a handle on Shao Tian Quan, you gotta kinda shift your perspective. We need to stop thinking of him as just a pet. He was so much more than that, an absolutely indispensable partner.
So what's the first thing you think of when you hear his name? For most people, it's that one famous moment, right? Biting the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. His entire story, from the very beginning to the very end, it's all about one core thing: absolute, unbreakable loyalty.
So here's what's so fascinating. This legendary divine beast, his origin story is actually super humble. It's almost heartbreaking, really. See, his journey doesn't begin up in the heavens with all the other gods. Nah, it starts down in the dirt.
And you have to understand, their bond wasn't master and servant. Not at all. It was forged in fire, when they had absolutely nothing. They were on the run, hiding from celestial soldiers. And Erlong Shen, who was barely surviving himself, he still shared the very last of his food and used his own energy to heal the stray. And what did he get in return? A protector, a warrior who fought for him. They literally rose up together, going from outcasts to gods, side by side.
This phrase, it just perfectly sums up their whole relationship. They weren't master and pet. They were equals, comrades in life and death, the kind of partners who face death together, and you know what? They'd do it all over again in a heartbeat.
Okay, but here's where things get a little weird. There's this huge disconnect between the ancient myth and how we see him today. From video games to movies, modern pop culture, it pretty much gets his whole look completely wrong.
We're used to seeing him as this giant, bulky black mastiff or a Doberman, right? Super fierce. But if you actually go back to the ancient texts, like the classic Journey to the West, the description is, well, it's totally different. The real Shao Tian Quan, he was slender, graceful, and pure white.
And this is what makes it so brilliant. His true form, this native Chinese breed called the Sichuan, was the perfect choice. Why? Because this dog is a natural-born sprinter, just built for explosive short-distance speed. Now think about it. For a hunter god like Erlong Shen, a dog that's all about being fast, precise, and ruthless isn't just a buddy, it's the perfect weapon. And that white fur, well, that was just the icing on the cake, a symbol of his divine, pure nature.
And as time went on, his story kind of evolved in the literature. In Journey to the West, he's very much a real, living, breathing hunting dog. It's all about instinct and raw speed. But then you get to Investiture of the Gods, and he's been leveled up. He becomes a purely magical weapon, almost like a charm that Erlong Shen can just launch like a celestial precision-guided missile aimed right at his enemies' necks.
So the big question is, just how good was this celestial battle pet in a fight? Well, let me put it this way. His hit list reads like a who's who of the most powerful gods and demons you can imagine.
His whole strategy, his entire fighting style, it all comes down to one single thing: surprise. He is not a brawler, he's an assassin. He never, ever gets into a fair fight. Why? Because a fair fight is not the point. The point is to win.
Just look at this battle record. First, the big one, the one everyone knows. He bites Sun Wukong's leg at the perfect moment, the one critical second that leads to the Monkey King getting captured. Then you've got the god of wealth, Shao Gongming, who's about to unleash this crazy powerful weapon, and boom, Shao Tian Quan bites him and forces him to retreat. He even takes down a massive serpent demon by just biting it to death. Every single attack is just timed perfectly to completely turn the tide of the battle.
See? This is his true combat style. He is the ultimate opportunist. He waits, he watches, and he only strikes when the enemy is distracted, when they're vulnerable, when they least expect it. He is, without a doubt, the perfect celestial assassin.
But his story doesn't end there, not by a long shot. His influence actually spilled out from the ancient texts, and it led to this really common cultural mix-up and, surprisingly, a super important role he plays in the modern world.
Okay, so we've all probably heard that old Chinese saying, right? The heavenly dog eats the moon, which is how people described an eclipse. And it's so natural to just assume, oh, that heavenly dog must be Shao Tian Quan. But is it really? The short answer? Nope, not him. The original Moon Eater is a totally different creature called the Tiangu. It's this cat-like beast from the super ancient text, the classic of mountains and seas, and it was actually seen as a bad omen. But, over hundreds of years of folktales being passed down, the two stories just kind of got tangled up. And that's how our heroic dog accidentally got this wild reputation as a Moon Eater.
And this is where it gets really cool, and it shows why his story still matters today. His legend has kept evolving. In modern temples, Shao Tian Quan has basically become the patron saint for pets. I mean, people actually pray to him to help find their lost dogs and cats. They'll leave him offerings of treats or meat, just asking him to watch over their own pets, to keep them healthy and safe. He's become this divine guardian for the animals we all love so much.
So when you strip away all the magic, all the epic battles, and all the myths, what are you left with? At its heart, the entire legend of Shao Tian Quan is a story about loyalty, plain and simple.
Just think about it for a second. Erlang Shen was this incredibly powerful god, but he was also super isolated, often at odds with his own family up in heaven. Through all of that, Shao Tian Quan was the one constant in his life, the one companion who was there from rock bottom, who never needed him to explain anything, and who would never, ever betray him. He represents that unwavering loyalty and warmth that, honestly, every hero secretly craves.